Ooh, shit! It smells like straight up E85 in this mug. Here's my fuel pump. Oh, all right. Come on. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be working on the all-wheel drive CRX, and I'm going to try to situate a few things with the car. I do want to take this car back to the track in April 25th, or I'll put it right here. I don't remember the exact date, but we're going to try to get this car back out there and hit a personal best, hopefully with me driving it. If you guys haven't seen the track video, we took this car out last week to CMI March Mayhem, first event of the year out here in NorCal. The car did a personal best of 11.3 at 126 miles an hour. Now, it's not much from the original record, which was 11.4 at 124, but it is progress. I had an issue where I couldn't get into fourth gear all of my passes, so I let my buddy Joaquin jump in, and he did a few passes himself, with the last one being an 11.3. There are a few things that I want to do to this car to get it ready for next track, and one of it is being the front suspension. Now, Miller was out there at the track with us, and he told me that a lot of the all-wheel drive guys still treat their car like front-wheel drive, and I've watched my video over and over and over again, and I noticed that the front picks up a lot. So what I'm going to do today, or at least in this video, is preload the front suspension and then adjust my ride height accordingly in case it changes. The main goal today is to situate my shifter. Now, my car has been all-wheel drive for like 2.5 years now, and I'm using a stock Honda CR-V shifter box with the Cheetah Auto short shift adapter. This helps swivel the angle of the shifter away from the driver. If you guys don't know, the stock CR-V shifter, it is a dual bend, but it kind of points towards the driver. So I just got back from the storage. Let me show you guys the shifter box, because I went to go pick up my spare and its cables. So this is the stock CR-V shifter box and the stock CR-V shifter cables. If you look at the shifter, it is dual bend, but it also points towards the driver's side. You can see it right here. I never liked the length of the shifter in my car because of how tall it was. Tyga got me the Cheetah Auto shifter to help shorten down the height and swivel the shifter away from my thigh, and it's helped a lot throughout the year, but it's still a little too tall for my liking. The throw is still super long, and one main thing about the Cheetah Auto is the shifter being loose after a few like hard pulls. The set screw inside here tends to come loose, and this thing starts to swivel all crazy, just like you see it right there. And no matter how many times I tighten it down, Loctite it, or using 2 set screws, it still comes loose. I always carry this tool right here in the back of my seat, for when it comes loose, I can always tighten it back up. I don't want to have to deal with that every single time. So I got this package right here 2 days ago. It's a mod I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Somebody said, why does Static always open his packages upside down? Well, I don't want to give out my address to everybody, so I do it upside down. Ooh! First thing I noticed when I opened this package, I didn't get the bottom plate. I totally forgot about that. Guys, this is some bling bling for the all-wheel drive car from MAXPEEDINGRODS. Now, before I unwrap that, I want to give a big shout out to MAXPEEDINGRODS Macy. She's helped us in the past with the shifter in the KRX. I don't know if you guys can see it, but hopefully you guys can see it. That shifter is freaking amazing for what it is, and I love the way it feels. So yes, this video is sponsored by MAXPEEDINGRODS. Again, thank you, Macy, once again for this piece. This shifter box right here is a TSX / Honda Accord shifter box. This is different than the K20 style because of its shift mechanism. A lot of people are using the shifter box with B-series transmission with the 06 to 2011 shifter cables and the brackets accordingly. Now, DNA DNA Fab or DNA, I forgot his name, but he fabricates the bracket you need to use this box in a B all-wheel drive car. I don't have the brackets, I don't have the cables anymore. I had a set of 06 cables because that's where the engine from my brother's car came from. We bought an 06 and we parted it out to do his case swap, and then I somehow gave those cables away, so I don't have it. But today I'm gonna see if I can try to rig up the stock CRV shifter cables onto this shifter. I know the difference between the two shifter is, one, it has this ball right here, which is the same as the CRV, but it also has a second ball right here where the CRV is actually a pin. You can see it right there. You guys already know, if y'all looking for any parts for your car, something more affordable, the link to Max Speeding Rod is in the description below. Be sure to check out that link specifically. You can save 15% by using the coupon code also listed down below, guys, and save a little buck before checkout. So again, Macy, thank you for this. Now let's get working. So the TSX shifter has this little ball thing right here at the bottom, and that's for the gear selector. And for the CRV, it's the same. So you can see it right here. It clips into the ball, or it should clip into the ball. I'm hoping that it's the same size. So let's slide that in real quick and see if it actually fits. I mean, it looks freaking huge. Yeah, it's pretty. It's just a tad bit larger. Just a tad bit larger. So that does not clip in. Now I could MacGyver this, but I just want to know that it would fit. But my main concern is the neutral lever, which you can see uses the same ball style thing right here, and the CRV one uses a pin, right? That is not the same. Now the Max Speeding Rod TSX shifter comes with all of its accessories, or hardware I should say. This right here is the cable holder for the neutral lever side. Goes in like that. And this right here is the shifter that goes on top, and then we have the Allen key and the hardware for securing it down. The only difference that I see between this shifter box and the CRV is that the shifter for the CRV, the cables secure right with each other right there, and this shifter box, it's offset. So I'm gonna try to figure out how I'm gonna do this. Hopefully you guys can see this, but if you look, it's not that much bigger, this black piece right here to the shifter end right here. So I got two choices. I can either shave this down or shave this down. Now if I shave this too much, then that becomes freaking basura. So I think I'm gonna shave this piece right here, because obviously we're trying to make the other end work with this end. That means I have this side to replace it if I shaved it down too much or whatever. They are the same size. So flap disc or belt sander. This is not the smartest way to do it. My belt sander has brand new 80 grit, and it might chop it down too fast. Wow, that was the first shot. Snugged, nice and snug, not loose. That's freaking awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy back on here. This piece right here is to secure the other cable onto the shifter. So this is obviously adjusted accordingly. I'm not sure why there's two settings to it, but I'm gonna pick one that fits where the cable lands. So the thing is, this cable is dead even while the shifter is offsetted. So I had to take off the bracket here and the bracket right here to push this further back to where the lever is at right here, to get this shifter to be centered how it's supposed to. In my opinion, this thing is super light. I don't know much about aluminum grades, like the different type of aluminum, but this, it just feels really light. So hopefully it being secured on its side and not the bottom, it's more than enough to hold this piece together and not, you know what I'm saying, kaput. So yeah, I'm gonna bolt that down real quick. Bolts are in there, Allen key is provided. I don't know if these bolt holes are perfectly matched, but it's kind of hard to thread this one in. boy, this is a little tricky. All right, we got it to thread. That's awesome. My hand's too big for this boy. And that is the second one. So I separated the cable from the other one, right? And I stuck it on here just to get an idea of what I have to modify, right? And then I was looking at this third Ziploc bag and I noticed that this was in there and I don't know what this is for. So I'm looking around and I'm like, what are you for? So I'm like, okay, well, might be a spare part, I don't know. So I started like just to kind of figure out what I was going to do with the shifter, and I looked at this piece right here, same thread pitch as this right here, right? So I was like, you know what, maybe if I just took off this plastic piece right here, that spacer should fit right into it and it'll allow me to bolt it right to the shifter. So I'm going to try to carefully take this off just in case the diameter is not the same with this, that I would still have it. Oh, actually, no, it just pops right out. Look at that. Oh, barely fits. Well, this loud old thing right here. You can't really see it, but it's step lip in it, and that's the reason why the little bolt doesn't go all the way through. The inside is a little bit smaller than the outside. So what I'm doing is I'm using my stepped drill bit, but the only size that fits through is this one, but it might give it a little slack, but I don't think I'm worried about that little slack. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. So I'm just going to drill it all the way through until this fits, and then we'll bolt it up. This is my only spare shifter, so I can't mess this up. Slow and easy wins the race, right? So let's go slow and easy. Never mind. Yes, sir. Not that much slack. So I was tinkering with this for a little bit, and I noticed that this is going to take a little bit more to make it work. So I'm going to bolt this one back up real quick, just slightly. So my issue is the neutral lever, right? One side goes all the way. If I go to the right side, it goes all the way, right? But if I go to the driver's side, it barely even goes. It goes probably, I don't know, maybe a quarter of an inch. I don't think that's gonna allow me to you know, fully get into the gear that I'm trying to get into. I went to measure in his car because he has a shifter box from the CRV in his, and the throw from left to right. So in his car I measured, when I'm going fully left, it is extended 2 3/4 from this eyelid to this plastic piece, and the opposite way it is 3 3/4. So with that split in half, I believe the shifter cable needs to be somewhere right here in order for me to go full left and full right on the neutral. So what I'm figuring out for a temporary solution, because you guys know I like doing DIY stuff, is I'm going to make a plate out of steel, maybe even aluminum, but probably steel, and I'm going to make an adapter for this lever down here, right? And it is going to be secured with these 2 holes, and that's going to place the shifter kind of in between both those holes right there. Reason being is because the bolt might not fit if I put the cable here or if the cable's there. So I'm put it right in the middle so I could put a bolt through, you know, the adapter piece, and then on the adapter it's going to have a hole back here to bolt this one too, and then that'll give me my full throw left and right. Now the K-Tune kit has the all-wheel drive TSX shifter box for B series transmission. They come with their specific cables, and they are the race cables, and it comes with the transmission bracket for that. It's expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't want to spend that much on shifter assembly. If I can make it work with this little bracketry thing that I'm doing right here, I'm content with that. As long as it goes into all the gears like it should, then I'll leave it be. Now if this does not work, then I'm probably gonna source like the 06 2011 shifter cables and then make the transmission bracket accordingly. But I think what I have in mind, it's gonna work. So I'm gonna go ahead and trace this out, cut it out, and then You know what I'm saying? We'll make further steps into making this all work. Bro, if this works, I'm gonna be stoked. Now, if you guys are trying to put this shifter box into your all-wheel drive car, right, B series transmission in this case, I do not advise doing it the way I'm doing it. I'm just being super cheap because I don't want to pay for the kit, and I like to make use of everything that I currently have. So what I'm about to do right now, I kind of debated a few times of doing it or not, and I realized that this bolt is actually long enough to go all the way through the hole to put a nut on the backside, which they provide right here. So what I'm about to do is, because I made this plate, right, I even countersunked it so it can be a little more flush. I'm using Allen key head so it can be flusher, so that way the rod doesn't hit the bolt, right? So this goes on like this. This bolt is different threads than this one. You can see it. Obviously it doesn't thread, right? It goes in about twice and then it completely stops. Now if I force it, it'll strip. So what I'm about to do, because I'm doing it the way that I'm doing it, I'm gonna drill these threads out, just the threads, and not enlarging the hole. This bolt is long enough to go all the way through to put a 10 mil back there and secure this adapter into place. Now I put the little plastic back in. So again, I'm gonna drill out both of these. I don't advise doing it, but if you guys are on a budget like me and you guys are watching this video and understand the concept of what I'm doing here, then by all means go ahead and do the same model that I'm doing. This kind of hurts to do, but you know what? The shifter is not that expensive. So again, if you guys want to go down to MAXPEEDINGRODS, link in the description below. Use coupon code to save a little bit more money and get yourself a nice billet shifter for your all-wheel drive B-Series transmission. Now, I am talking about all-wheel drive, but you can technically still use this in a TSX car or a Honda Accord. Year specific in the description below as well. Cop yourself one. Boy, look at them countersunk bolts. Somebody helped me on my vocabulary the other day because I didn't know what the right terminology is for making the bolt flushed. It's called countersunk. Got a 12 mil bolt nut, and I had to add a little washer in between because the bolt is not countersunk enough. But now we have clearance. You guys can kind of see it right there. Push this thing left to right real quick. Yes sir, yes sir. All right, now
you don't know if it's a neutral.
When you don't know it's a neutral, right? Play with it a few times. If you shake it too much, you're playing with it. So the mark is supposed to be here. And look how much it comes out now. All the way left, all the way right. About equal, right? About equal. Orderly. We are mobbing to the next day here, guys. I'm gonna take off this shifter right here. 2 Allen set screws on the shifter itself. Should just slide right off like so. And I do have the shift boot on here, or kind of on here. So you can see I don't have the base plate for the CRV shifter box because it wouldn't have worked anyways. Granted, these 2 bolts in the front are offsetted. They bolt at an angle and they're more narrow than the rear. Now the reason for the base plate is so that you don't have to cut off this lip right here where the shift linkage comes through. If you don't want to use the base plate, then you know you got to make spacers like I did right here, right, to keep this, or cut this completely off so you can mount that flat. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mount my shifter into place. I did order the base plate last night, so I'm going to have to wait until that comes in. So I'm running into a slight issue right now. The cable for the shifter itself right here for the gear fits perfectly, right? and I have this shifter aligned straight down into the hole where the shift linkage shifter setup would come out through. My issue is this guy right here. So the cable is running through the floorboard, and then it goes under the tunnel, up the subframe, into the transmission. Given that route, this cable is not long enough to get into its home location right here, and I can't pull it anymore. I took all the brackets off. This is the original cable in the car, and I can't seem to get this further back to get into the bracket. But I'm looking at it, it seems that I can move this bracket to the first hole up in the front right here, right? And this seems to line up perfectly with that. And then I can just flip this bracket the opposite direction, so the hole's on this end, and if you look, it seems to land almost in the exact spot. So I'm gonna do the flipperoo real quick, guys, and see if this is gonna work out. Yes sir, it's gonna work. So I got the cable secured here and here. I'm gonna have to clearance that a little bit more so the cables aren't binding, and I got this bracket flipped where it is hooked up to the side-to-side cable. And guess what, guys, it freaking goes through all of the freaking gears. Fifth, reverse. Hell yeah, brother. All right guys, so we got the shifter installed temporarily until we get the base plate. We used riv nuts in the front because we had enough space on the tunnel to do so. Got a washer in there, one on this side, one on this side, and then I made a little bracket in the back because we didn't have enough meat on this end of the tunnel because it becomes narrow, and I didn't want to make too many extra holes. So I made one here with a little Z bracket to hold this back from lifting up when I'm shifting forward. So I hope that's going to hold it up perfectly. You can see does not freaking move. I'm not gonna put the center console on yet until I get the bottom plate because I need to know how far this is gonna come up before we have to modify the console. But do you think anybody would notice? Nah, it's blended in, you can't really tell. All right, now before we take it for a drive, I need to preload the front suspension. So if you look, when I jack up my car, you're gonna see the gap between the fender and the wheel opening. So you can see how big the gap has opened opposed to when the car was lowered, right? So what I'm doing right here is I'm taking the nut off the shock itself, but I'm gonna thread it back a few. What this does is it releases the shock from the top hat to like unload the spring, so that way it's easier for me to turn the purchase, right? If that was screwed all the way down, this will be tensioned and it'll be a little harder to turn the purchase. So you can see it's nice and loose, and what I'm gonna do is loosen up this bottom one, get my perch tool, and then I'm just gonna keep turning this perch until it's snugged, and I'm probably gonna give it a couple more tugs, and then essentially when you lower the car back down, the shock is gonna come up and the spring is gonna be compressed. And then when you tighten this nut down, it keeps that spring compressed between the hat and the body, if that makes any sense. So it's starting to get a little tighter. The lower perch is where I started, and I've probably gone up about ½ an inch now, and it's already getting tight. The threads that were up here is now kind of sunk in because of we're pushing the spring up while pulling the shock down. So like I said, when the car is lowered, the spring is going to be a little more compressed. The shock is going to stick out further out of the hat, and then we can bolt this down. We're almost there. I don't know how much I'm preloading this, but hopefully this makes a difference. So I'm probably going to leave it right there because it's already super tight on here. I mean, I'm sure I can go more, but I'm just going to lock this into place, and I'm going to adjust the other side accordingly. I'm going to take a
measuring tape to go from this ring to the top and see what the distance is, and then do the same on the other side.
Watch when I zap this down, you'll see the spindle move up. That's all the way. I can already tell you guys that this feels so much better. The only thing is that the up gears, it's a little bit longer throw than going downward to second, fourth, and reverse. And right here in front of the shifter, it hits this front piece right here. So I got to figure that out, but aside from that issue, it feels so much better than the CRV shifter. That's in third gear. Something's a little weird with third gear. Which is super sketchy, but that's the only way I can try to get it in quicker, because if I try to just shift upward like I normally do, it's like a lockout. I'm not blaming the shifter. It's probably my shifting, but this is a new shifter I have to get used to, so it's going to take some more driving to really understand what it likes. I really got to figure that out. Guys, this is going to be the end of the video. The shifter feels freaking amazing. I have to kind of figure out why it's hitting up in the front of the shifter like I had just shown you guys, but it is a great upgrade and it is very affordable. So if you guys want to check out the MAXPEEDINGRODS TSX shifter for your TSX, Honda Accord, or your B all-wheel drive, be sure to check the link in the description below and use coupon code YSTATIC to save a little bit before checkout. Guys, this thing is going to take some use to, and I'm probably going to drive this car somewhat throughout the week just to get a feel for it and tweak this car little by little. I'm overall super happy with the shifter. Big shout out to MAXPEEDINGRODS. Macy, once again, thank you for the opportunity to get the shifter for my car. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. We preloaded the suspension, we installed the shifter, we've made progress on the car. I think the next thing we're going to do tomorrow is the suspension for the KRX. And if you guys want to stick around and see that, be sure to hit the subscribe button, and also don't forget, if you enjoyed this video a little bit, be sure to hit the like button. So with that being said, guys, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Yo, you set me up, man.
Yeah, that's what you should do. That's why I had the vice grip in the back.
I went. Yo, bro, it's after missing that, I still got 125 miles per hour, bro. This shit got potential like a motherfucker.